For many, images of nursing homes are often painted from a palette of stereotypes or fear of the unknown, drab reality on an uneven canvas. We promise ourselves that we will not allow our lives to be lived out in nursing homes. Reality, however, can see that promise an impossible one to keep. St. John's is more than a nursing home. Through dedication to the dignity of all people, we can create with a palette of bright and innovative staff and ideas, bold strokes in faithful layers applied with abundant care. This creativity is an evolution, a renaissance in long-term care. It is a new way to reach out to the old.
This is me.
There is an incredible need for long-term care looming on the horizon. In fact, by the year 2020, the demand for nursing home care will reach 14 million people, which is double the 7 million people needing care today.
Our culture is aging. We here at St. John's deal with those issues all the time. Our culture is becoming more frail in that aging process. We deal with that. We have folks who come here from all walks of life, all avenues of faith, and it seems to me as a community, we find how we express God's love, share it with one another, bless each other in this community.
To me, the single most important thing happens here when people touch people. That happens in a variety of ways. You know, we have a tremendously aging population. The services that St. John's provide are going to be more and more in demand. And frankly, the economic pressure put on us is going to be more and more difficult.
Many elderly middle-class citizens must rely on Medicaid to pay for their long-term care because they have virtually exhausted all of their life savings, sometimes within the first 6 months of entering a nursing home.
Weathering the financial storm is one of the many things St. John's is committed to through the quality and diversity of the services offered, the stewardship of resources, and the generous support of those who share the mission to provide living opportunities within a nurturing environment of hope, dignity, and love.
I really think it's important for me to have an organization to trust with a loved one that I think is going to provide a father and a mother, disabled sister or brother, a fair and honest and reasonable place to spend their lives in a dignified and positive setting for the rest of their life if need be.
I think one of St. John's true key strengths is the ownership of our organization by 22 Lutheran churches. And kind of key to that for me has been the commitment of the churches to see St. John's as a ministry of the Lutheran Church to the world, not a ministry of the Lutheran Church to Lutherans.
Well, what credit is that to you?
The one thing that makes St. John's more than just a long-term care facility is the spiritual care that we provide, not just by our chaplains, but by everyone, from our nurses' aides to the people in our dietary department, to my board members. We all feel a commitment to ensuring that Christian ministry is not just an ancillary service, but it's really at the core of who we are and what we do.
We ought not kid ourselves. What we bring as pastors or staff, we don't bring God's presence in this place. God is here.
When I was asked to be on the home board, I was very pleased. I felt that the care that is given here to the whole person was so important, and the ministry and the spiritual care that goes on here is probably the most important thing that happens in this place.
In 1964, St. John's retirement residents averaged 65 years of age. In 2000, the average age was 87, and what we call the continuum of care had evolved into a working philosophy based on individual needs.
Amazing grace,
how sweet the sound.
We talk about continuum of care, and what does that mean to people? I mean, what it means here is that there are multiple levels of service, and what we're committed to do is to no longer take people and force them into what's available, but to look at people with what their needs are, what fits for them, and then build the level of service that they need.
But now I can see.
In meeting those needs, St. John's has added color to the palette and life to the family portrait, in part by implementing philosophies like the Eden Alternative.
One of the commitment statements in our mission is that St. John's will be a place where all people are recognized as both givers and receivers of love.
Seems to me the most powerful image that the Eden Alternative brings to us is to recognize that every person, even the folks in our community who have forgotten who they are because of dementia or Alzheimer's, who've been robbed of their identity, every person is one who has been made in the image of God. Every person is valuable. Every person ought to be cared for. Every person is capable of giving love and receiving love.
We've taken seriously the importance of providing our elderly a dignified and wonderful place to be. Bottom line is, this organization provides dignified and wonderful living opportunities for the residents of our community, many of whom simply could not afford that sort of care. And I'm proud of that. I want to make sure it continues.
Ultimately, what St. John's is about is sharing God's love, and God's love is kind of ever present in this facility. I've been blessed. I've been gifted. There's no better place to be. You're surrounded by people who are committed to each other, people who are caring for each other.
This place will honor that choice to live, and literally to wring the last drop out of these people's lives. If they want to live, let's help them to live, so that the next morning they wake up and they want to have that hot cup of coffee and they wonder what the day will bring.
In the foundation, we are committed to ensuring that all residents, all people, regardless of their ability to pay, will be able to come to this place and receive the quality care that they deserve.
We have a responsibility to make sure that we're here 40 years into the future.
The most important thing that I think people need to realize is that we have and always will need the financial support of those who share our vision of caring for those in need.
It's our certified nurses' aides, it's our nurses, it's our housekeepers who clean the rooms, it's our dietary staff who prepare the meals. They really are the hands and hearts of Jesus. Recently, our staff have been talking about, how can we best explain and tell what it is we do in service to others. And I like a sentence that they've come up with about what we do is we give the best part of ourselves. And when I think about ministry, when I think about the work of St. John's, when I think about the work of our churches, the people in our community, isn't that what we're really asked to do, is give the best part of ourselves? And if we give the best part of ourselves, that best part flows from God, and it's got to be good. And that's what our staff lives out here on a daily basis.
At St. John's, life is full of hope, dignity, and the nurturing love that creates its own environment. A living landscape that celebrates our seasons as we live them and keeps them always in our hearts. The residents at St. John's are the people in these pictures, and they are also the people in those pictures, those treasured memories from long ago. But now, we must look to the future, and we must remember that in the blink of an eye, they are us.